The silver-robed man inside the projection was none other than the divine regent of the Dreamweaver Kingdom of God, Meng Kongchan. His divine title was Dreamless. Hua Fuchen stopped wasting time and jumped straight into the main topic. I need your help in investigating someone. Meng Kongchan looked interested. Whoever they are, they must be quite the character to garner such interest from you. In a sense, you are right, Hua Fuchen replied with a complex expression. This person is Caili's lover. Meng Kongchan's expression changed drastically. Both men fell silent. Meng Kongchan was waiting for Hua Fuchen's mask to crack and the man to laugh, saying that it was just a terrible joke, but he did not. Finally, Meng Kongchan spoke up. Well, this turned out to be far more serious than what I initially imagined it to be. Brother Rahu, does he? He doesn't know, and I am too ashamed to say it, Hua Fuchen replied. King Ying myself, and now you are the only ones who know about this. He didn't ask Meng Kongchan to keep this a secret. He didn't need to. He knew that Meng Kongchan would never reveal it to anyone. A frown suddenly appeared on Meng Kongchan's face. Wait a second, you want me to investigate him? Does that mean you actually plan to accept their relationship? Hua Fuchen let out a quiet sigh. Man plans and the heavens laugh. It has only been a few months, but Caili has completely fallen for him in both body and soul. He did not say it expressly, but there was no mistaking the meaning of the phrase, fallen for him in both body and soul. Dreamless Divine Regent blanched upon hearing it. Hua Fuchen continued, When I first learned about this, I was furious enough to kill him on the spot. But he is also the man who saved Caili's life, and even King Ying is clearly on his side. Worst of all, Caili's determination in defending him far exceeds my expectations. If I try to rip them apart by force, the wound would hurt her forever, and our relationship may never mend. That is not an outcome I can accept. Oh, Meng Kongchan looked even more surprised. Caili has interacted with the most outstanding men of the Abyss since she was young, and yet she fell for this boy so hard that you had no choice but to compromise. He must be quite extraordinary. The consequences born from this action are... Meng Kongchan shook his head and cut himself off before he could finish. Never mind. You must have thought through everything before you arrived at this decision. I still don't think this is wise, but I hardly think you need my advice at this point. So, how far do I need to probe into this boy? Not only were they childhood friends, their bond was strong enough that they would die for each other. They knew each other so well that they could practically guess what the other was going to say or do without much effort. Hua Fuchen lowered his voice and said seriously, 1. I need to know if his love for Caili is sincere. At the very least, I need to know if his love is greater than his schemes. Oh, Meng Kongchan narrowed his silver eyes a little. Now that is surprising. Out of all the young women of this generation, no one is Caili's equal in terms of beauty or talent. I don't believe there exists a man in this world who would not fall for her status or countenance either. Even the greatest divine son of this generation, Dian Jiaji, is famous for his devotion toward her. When he becomes the divine regent, I would not be surprised if he chooses to cede the entire boundless kingdom of God to her. If not for their engagement, my inferior son, Xianxia, would have chased her to the ends of the abyss as well. A man who wins Caili's love may be the luckiest man in the entire world. If there exists a man who cannot give her his true love, he must either have a heart of stone or a fondness for men only. Ha 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 ha. It sounded like Meng Kongchan was joking, but it was a truth no one in the entire abyss could deny. Caili was literally the most beautiful woman in the abyss and the ultimate dream of all men. The idea that there existed a man out there who would not pay her their true love and devotion was simply unthinkable. As for schemes, is there a soul out there who isn't scheming about something? People scheme for strength, sex, power, wealth, and more. In fact, someone who doesn't scheme for their desires is useless and worthless, don't you agree? Despite what he said, Meng Kongchan could not spot any signs of wavering on Hua Fuchen's face whatsoever. So he stopped joking and asked seriously, Are you asking this because you found a chink in the boy's mask? No, Hua Fuchen shook his head. On the contrary, he is perfect. Their encounters, interactions, and eventual love were all initiated by Caili. He himself has risked his life multiple times to save Caili from grave danger. Such was his decisiveness and sacrifice that even my indifferent sister has become his staunch defender. Everything I've heard, and all of my attempts to expose him have ended in failure. All signs point toward his devotion and love for Caili being pure and flawless. He harbors no designs for anything besides Caili, and any temptation that isn't her cannot make him move even an eyebrow. Meng Kongchan frowned a little before asking another question. Have you sensed any mental flaws or weaknesses in his mind then? None whatsoever. Hua Fuchen gave Meng Kongchan an answer he could not help but be astonished at. He is just a level 3 divine master, and yet he was able to remain calm and collected, polite, yet dignified despite my hidden attempts to pressure his soul. The few times he actually showed emotion, it was all because of Caili. It is highly possible that I'm overthinking this, but if he really is plotting something, how can Caili hope to be his opponent? It sounded like Hua Fuchen was worrying about nothing, but Meng Kongchan neither laughed off his concerns nor tried to persuade him to see reason. The fact was, it was worrying when someone was too perfect. I understand now. Meng Kongchan nodded slowly. I've always known your love and devotion for your daughter. Of course, I will do my best to eliminate this. What if, for you still, I don't believe that a perfect character is the only reason you harbor such doubts, right? Haha, as expected of your wisdom, brother Meng. Hua Fuchen said, my second request is for you to find out his background and origin. Meng Kongchan furrowed his brow slightly. I'm sorry, are you telling me that you know nothing about the boy's roots despite being driven to such extreme measures? It is quite embarrassing, but that is exactly right. Hua Fuchen smiled self-derisively before continuing. The boy calls himself Chi of Yun, but he does not belong to any faction or clan. According to himself, he was rescued by an ancient soul when he was about 10 years old, and he possesses no memory before that whatsoever. He doesn't even know where he was born or who his parents were. Meng Kongchan's eyebrows twitched unconsciously as he waited for more information to come, but nothing happened. Hua Fuchen had fallen silent. Is that all? That's right, Hua Fuchen answered. As for who that ancient soul is, he refuses to tell anyone, not even Caili, because it was an absolute order from his master. I've dispatched my subordinates to scour the abyss and find out more about him, but I wasn't able to find anything. Because of this, I believe that his claims that he has been living in seclusion all this time, and that he has entered the world only recently are true. In other words, Meng Kongchan could not help but look at Hua Fuchen as if seeing him in a new light. You, the mighty heart painter, Divine Regent, know practically nothing about the boy who ruined your daughter. That's right. Hua Fuchen slowly closed his eyes. You understand my worry now, don't you? I see, yes, I understand. Meng Kongchan nodded. Hua Fuchen knew then that the Dreamless Divine Regent had agreed to his request. I probably don't need to say this, but you are the only one I trust to investigate him, brother Meng, Hua Fuchen stressed. But of course, Meng Kongchan replied with sincerity, be it for Caili, the boundless kingdom of God, or the pure land's sake, I will keep this an absolute secret. That's not all, Hua Fuchen explained. Yun Qi is so extraordinary that even I am infinitely surprised. Assuming that his master is real, their origin must be equally extraordinary, if not more so. I would not be surprised if you discover a secret that could shake the entire abyss. If someone were to learn about it, they may harbor undesirable thoughts, to put it mildly. Meng Kongchan gave him a serious nod before joking, relax, brother Fuchen. I won't say a word even if it turns out that he is the abyssal monarch's illegitimate son. Your promise assures me deeply, brother Meng. The Dreamless Divine Regent's promise was no joke. The Dreamweaver Kingdom of God was a kingdom focused on honing the soul. Here, anyone who broke a promise would suffer soul damage. Not only that, the Dreamweaver Kingdom of God possessed the abilities called Falling Dream and Sinking Dream. It was why they were privy to countless secrets, but none had ever leaked from the kingdom. If even an ordinary Dreamweaver profound practitioner was this tight-lipped, the Dreamless Divine Regent could only be better. Still, Meng Kongchan's expression turned serious with a tinge of worry. Assuming that you were just worrying about nothing, are you really going to rip apart the engagement bestowed by the abyssal monarch himself and accept this powerless boy who doesn't even have a background as your son-in-law? He was a father himself. He could not imagine how angry and frustrated he would be if he was in Hua Fuchen's position. It was a short reply, but there was no hesitation in Hua Fuchen's voice whatsoever. Meng Kongchan nodded with complicated eyes. It looks like you have made up your mind, so I won't say anything more. Now that I think about it, you're sending that boy over not just because you want me to look into him, but also because you want to build a connection between the two of us so you can ask for my help in the future. But in order for that to happen, the boy must be able to win my favor. You must be quite confident in him. Ha, that is exactly right, brother Meng, Hua Fuchen admitted honestly. So, Meng Kongchan asked, how long do you plan to have him stay with me? 5 years, Hua Fuchen answered. You don't need to give him any special attention or help either. Let him fend for himself. And if your worries turn out to be real, Meng Kongchan narrowed his eyes. The gentleness on Hua Fuchen's face was immediately replaced by icy pressure. Send him out on an excursion between the 3rd to 5th year and silence him. Make sure that the blade does not come from Heaven Breaker or Dreamweaver. Leave no trace behind. Understood? Meng Kongchan nodded in agreement. I must point out that Caili will suspect something even if everything goes perfectly. Why not just tell her the truth? Hua Fuchen sighed, and for the first time since the conversation began, responded with clear helplessness in his voice. You did not see how deeply she loves that boy. If it turns out that he really does not deserve her love, I would rather give her a hopeless dream she can chase than shatter her heart and soul completely. This is your last trial, boy. If you can overcome it, then I will no longer reject your relationship with Caili, and I will head to the boundless kingdom of God and cancel the engagement myself. In the future, I will do everything in my power to eliminate any obstacles in your path. The next day, Hua Fuchen spoke to Yun Qi and Hua Caili practically the moment they arrived at his back. Yun Qi immediately saluted him. Got it. This junior will do his best to live up to Caili's love and your trust, senior. Hua Caili hurriedly warned her father, You promised, father. If it turns out that this is a ploy to separate us, I and Aunt will not stand for it. Don't worry, Hua Fuchen said indifferently. This is the final test. In fact, it is the most simple of all. All he needs to do is to agree to it, and he will pass. Hua Fuchen turned around and stared straight at Yun Qi. For your last trial, I want you to travel to the Dreamweaver Kingdom of God and stay there for 5 years alone. Letter 1D4 BB letter 1D4 5F letter 1D626 letter 1D626 letter 1D638 letter 212F. Letter 1D624 letter 1D630 letter 1D620. Yun Qi looked up with a glimmer of astonishment. Ah, but Hua Caili let out a cry of surprise and rejected it immediately. Unacceptable. Big brother Yun has never been to any kingdom of God, and he has had no interaction with the Dreamweaver Kingdom of God whatsoever. For him to go there alone, he won't even have someone to interact with, much less help him if he runs into danger. 5 years? That's just. What's wrong? Hua Fuchen had anticipated his daughter's reaction. Instead of agreeing with her, his tone grew a bit harsher. Do you think that the boy cannot survive in the Dreamweaver Kingdom of God for 5 years? Or are you worried that your love cannot even last 5 years? Before Hua Caili could answer, Hua Fuchen continued with deep disappointment. There is no better test for one's relationship than time, and no better test for one's ability than having nothing to rely on. I'm not telling you to stay apart for 50 or 100 years either. It is only 5. You claimed again and again that you fear no one and nothing, and that your bond will last for eternity, Caili. And yet you fear and reject even 5 years of separation this much. I guess your relationship isn't as strong as you think after all. Of course not, Hua Caili retorted immediately. It's just that big brother Yun and I have only been together for a few months. How is it fair for us to be separated for so much longer? Besides, the Dreamweaver Kingdom of God is no ordinary land of the living. It is a kingdom of God. Big brother Yun may be incredible, but he is ultimately just 120 years old. It's unrealistic to think he could. HMPH? Hua Fuchen interrupted her with a heavy HMPH. So you refuse to accept this trial then? Okay then? No. Yun Qi grabbed Hua Caili's hand and took a step forward. He said seriously, this junior promised that he would complete all the trials that senior has set for me with all my power. So I will. Hua Fuchen finally looked at him out of the corner of his eye. Yun Qi continued, besides, it is as you say. This trial is incomparably simple compared to the trials senior must face to accept our relationship. Words cannot even describe how grateful I am for your magnanimity. Big brother Yun? Hua Caili's eyes turned misty, and her grip on his hand tightened. She was afraid of the possible dangers Yun Qi would face while he was away and alone. She was also afraid of the emotion that had suddenly surged into her heart, fear of parting. Very good. Hua Fuchen's pressure lessened. Even his harsh gaze on Yun Qi had softened slightly. There was no one in the abyss who didn't know about the Dreamweaver Kingdom of God. He was sure Yun Qi could more or less guess why he had decided to send him there. The fact that he was able to accept the decision so candidly half-proved that he harbored no malicious designs after all. Someone will prepare a profound arc for you in 3 days. You will need to head there alone. That said, you are Caili's beloved, so I will grant you some care. When you arrive at the Dreamweaver Kingdom of God, the Dreamless Divine Regent will meet you himself and arrange your accommodations. After that, you are on your own. He watched Yun Qi's eyes closely for any unusual signs, any at all. "It is just 5 years, do not disappoint me or Caili."